Welcome to another edition of 30 Minutes with the Author. I'm your host, Lori Crever. In this edition, we're joined by Ellen Sandbeck. She's a landscape gardener and graphic designer in Duluth, Minnesota. And she's written a couple of books. One is titled Eat More Dirt, Diverting and Instructive Tips for Growing and Tending an Organic Garden. Now let's talk to the person out there who's thinking, well, that sounds fine, but I really need a good physical workout. So I need to spend my time at the gym, and I don't think that putzing around the garden is really going to satisfy my exercise need.
Well, actually, they would be wrong about that. There was an exercise physiologist who just completed some studies. What she was testing was the bone density of elderly women's hip bones, because that's a real problem for older women. As we all know, broken hips can be quite dangerous and often fatal eventually.
Yeah.
And so I think she was actually taking, samples. Mm-hmm. And she found that of this huge long list of activities, all kinds of sports, dancing, swimming, running, playing tennis, playing softball, there were only 2 activities that actually helped maintain and or increase the bone density in these women, and those 2 activities were weightlifting and gardening.
Wow.
Running won't do it, swimming won't do it, aerobics will not do it, but gardening and weightlifting will do it. And I don't know about you, but I cannot lift weights for 6 hours per day.
Right.
Nor am I interested in lifting weights for 6 hours per day, but I can garden for 6 hours per day. Mm-hmm. That's about my limit, but I can garden, and I often do. And I can do it day after day after day, very happily and without being bored. But if I was inside a weight room trying to lift weights for that long, I wouldn't last more than a week before I would quit.
Yeah.
And I think that's why gardeners tend to be very healthy, because they're getting a lot of exercise. And the kind of exercise that actually makes us healthier is the aerobic kind, which means that we're not doing a fast burst and then stopping.
Right.
It turns out the longer you exercise, the healthier you are. It does the same thing for you cardiovascularly, but if you walk a mile compared to running a mile, you use the same amount of calories, but you'll burn more fat by walking that mile.
Wow.
And it also turns out that the longer the duration of the exercise, the more the benefits are. Mm-hmm. So if you garden for hours on end, you're a much healthier, probably much happier individual than if you got the same amount of exercise in a burst at a gym.
Yes.
We have elderly friends who are avid gardeners, and the very thought of going to a gym to work out just would make them laugh hysterically. But they will garden all day.
Right. I'm glad that you brought up laughter, because the subtitle of one of your books is Diverting, right?
Yes.
And I'm just curious, because the books honestly are so charming and they have so many fun, silly tidbits thrown in. Where do you get your humor from? Has it been working with your clients, or did you develop this as you went?
Where did I get oh my goodness. Well, I did learn from working with clients that you cannot go up to people and say, oh my gosh, don't you know how dangerous that is? And how can you do that to your family, and you're going to kill them? And how can you be that stupid? That does not work well. You don't get jobs that way. Not to mention, you make people so angry they turn around and they spray twice as much chemicals.
Yeah.
It works much better if you have a very light touch and you say, the wind is blowing really hard, and it's not legal to spray in a high wind, which it is not. And could you maybe do it when it's not so windy? Mm-hmm. Or you say, well, if you will agree to not spray, I'd be more than happy to help you dig out your dandelions, which I have done.
Yes.
Or you say, this is a product that works really well, would you like to try it? There are definitely alternatives to all of the chemical products, which work quite nicely and aren't going to cause birth defects and cancer in humans and animals.
Right.
And
slowed mental ability. And we could show some pictures, comparative pictures of children who have been not exposed to much chemicals versus children who are exposed to a lot of chemicals resulting from being in an agriculture area in Mexico. This is right?
Yes.
Where the researcher found this?
Really terrifying bit of research. Yes, Elizabeth Gillette was researching in in Mexico, and she was dealing with the same group of people, but some of them lived in the lowlands and some of them lived in the highlands. And the ones who were doing more heavy-duty farming were using a lot of chemicals. And she wanted to compare the cognitive abilities of the two different groups of children. And she found that the children who had been exposed to large amounts of chemicals were far, far behind their peers who were identical in every other way,
Yes.
who were not exposed to those same chemicals. And when they asked these children to draw pictures of people, the unexposed children drew what we consider normal children's pictures of human beings that had recognizable heads and bodies and body parts, I mean, with varying amounts of fingers depending on their ages and things like that.
Yes.
But the children who had been exposed to large amounts of chemicals didn't seem to have any way of drawing a human that would be recognizable as a human. They were drawing squiggles and things that were upside down, and if you didn't know it was, if they didn't say this is a person, you would think it was, you know,
Just something abstract.
completely abstract. Did you mark that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can show that later.
Yes. Very
Great.
interesting. Okay. Now I know that you brought some items with you so that we can do a couple of demonstrations that people who are gardeners or would-be gardeners can learn something. A couple of simple tips.
Yes, I do. Back-saving tips.
Excellent. So now we're into the demonstration section of the show, and Ellen is going to have me do a little bit of work.
Suzanne is demonstrating the world's best after heavy gardening backstretch.
Okay.
This backstretch will keep your back from being sore. It will keep it aligned. It works wonders, and it doesn't look like a stretch, but it is. What you do is you lie down on the floor and you put your feet as close to your butt as you possibly can get them. If you're having trouble holding your knees up and together, it can be a bit of a strain. You just tie your knees together or strap them together, and that helps you relax. Then you cross your arms over your chest and just let them hang like that. You make sure that your spine is straight all the way down, and if it's not, you wiggle until you feel like it's straight. Try to get the small of your back on the floor.
That was going to be my question, yeah. So you want to kind of
Yeah.
not arching your back.
You don't
but
arch your back.
Getting the small of the back.
What you're
onto
trying
the
to do
floor.
is let your back muscles relax, and sometimes it can take up to 45 minutes for this stretch to actually work. So you're lying like this, looking like you're not doing anything at all, and all of a sudden, every vertebrae in your back will go pop, 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 and it feels wonderful. And it doesn't usually take that long to do once you've gotten used to it. The first time can take a long time, but after that you get faster and faster, and it's just the best thing you can possibly do for your back after heavy work. You ready to work? Speaking of
Yes,
which.
exactly. I am. Now, I'm a homeowner, and so I've got some landscaping and some gardening. So
And you have some weed trees.
yes.
Box elders.
Okay,
Very
yes.
ugly weed trees. So you've got your bow saw. This is a very efficient tool.
And I told you I have one of these at home. Standard model I picked up from Home Depot probably for $7 or $8.
And this is a nice short one, which makes it a little less unwieldy.
Yes, I thought it would be okay for a girl.
Yeah. Well, this is the size I use too, because the long one just gets stuck in things. It hits.
Yeah.
All right. So
Okay.
I will be the roots holding this, and you're
Okay.
gonna saw it.
So I need to get
Keep
it
going.
started.
Kind of a lot of work, huh?
Yes, but I am feeling, you know, it's an okay workout though.
Yes, it's an okay workout. Now, I'm going to try to really hold this tight. Try to use both your arms.
Okay.
Now, move your whole body with using your legs. If you use your legs, it's more efficient. I'm not a very good root. It still takes a long time. Now,
Yes.
can I show you something else?
Yes.
Put that thing down.
All right.
You be the roots.
Okay.
Okay, I have my handy.
So you have a tip.
Handy dandy lopper. The reason
is
people
a tip
like
alert.
loppers is because they're fast. Sawing is really hard work. It takes a lot out of you. So people tend to try to cut things that are actually a little too big.
Right.
And you try to squeeze and it's really hard. So if you put your knee, oops, I'm sitting on my rock. If you put your knees on the outside of your elbows and
Okay.
squeeze with your legs, You're using your leg muscles instead of your arm muscles. You want to give it a go?
You are my hero.
Here, give it a go.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And you're going to be cutting a larger section than you were cutting up there, right?
Okay, so.
You have to get bent down so you can use your knees.
All right, so, and you said.
You put your knees on the outside of your elbows.
And I would put my legs on the outside of this also?
No, you have to just do your elbows. There you go.
Okay.
Now squeeze with your legs.
Oh my gosh, this makes a total difference.
Because you can't do it with your arms.
Wow.
Use your legs.
I don't know if I have the landscaping
You're
strength
using
that you
the
do.
wrong shoes.
But look at how much farther I got, though, in a shorter amount of time.
Now try doing it with just your arms.
Oh, yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
Totally not. Maybe you want to wrap this up? Want to finish this up? I'll be the root.
You have this a little high, but yeah. Gardener power.
Wonderful. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But you can do a lot more with your legs. That's one of the secrets to not wrecking your back is whenever possible, you use your leg power instead of your arm power, which means you keep your arms locked to your sides whenever you possibly can.
Okay.
Where's that saw? When you're using a saw, you keep your arms close to your sides, and if you're using your arms, it doesn't take very long to be exhausted.
Right.
But if you go back and forth with your legs,
Yes.
you can last a lot longer.
This is wonderful. Okay, let's talk about large rock.
Rocks are just the greatest landscaping effect. They make a garden really have some backbone to it. They make a garden
Prehistoric.
They have substance. Let's move these. I don't want to roll over them.
All right.
However, they're very heavy,
Yes.
which is why I have a fake rock, because I didn't want to bring
Yes,
a rock.
I noticed you have a stunt double rock.
This is a stunt double rock. This is a 5-gallon container, which unfortunately leaks a bit, but it is a bit, it has a bit of weight to it so that I can demonstrate this method. These gloves feel the tips.
Oh.
When I am doing heavy rock work, I put dirt in the tips of my gloves, and I have gloves that are too big for me.
Right.
This is so if a rock lands on my finger, the rock lands on the dirt, the tip of the finger, and I can pull my hand out.
Oh,
so I will demonstrate this.
wonderful.
Now I have to move this rock, which is now going to leak, put on my gloves. The way you save your back from a big rock is you don't push it because it doesn't work well. You pull it. You do it the same way as a dog digs a hole. And it's so much easier. And then if the rock, whoops, it didn't, here. Oh, ow, the rock landed on my hand, but I can pull it out because there's...
Right, because the dirt is the cushion and extends your fingers really just by about a half an inch, 3/4 of an inch maybe?
And it sticks up, and then you have the room to get your finger out. And that can save you from having broken fingers and having a trip to the hospital.
Right.
Which many, many people who do home rock work end up with broken fingers.
Oh, yes. Yes, I could see that. A good thing to avoid.
Oh, yes. Very painful.
Yeah. Well, we just have a short amount of time left before we get back to the condition of Suzanne's back. Can you tell our viewers at home where they can find your books? And tell us the name of both books.
Well, one is called Slug Bread and Beheaded Thistles. Those are two different methods for getting rid of pests. And the other one is called Eat More Dirt. And Slug Bread is about organic pest control and housekeeping. And Eat More Dirt is about organic landscaping and the effects on the environment and on the gardener. And they can be found at most...
So you've been working the back stretch.
Yeah, that
And-
feels really good.
Yeah.
That's the most relaxing 5 minutes I've had all day.
Wow.
Feels good.
Wonderful. And it's really simple, right?
Oh, I was very relaxed. Very relaxed.
Both the books are just wonderful, and they're definitely very entertaining. So I want to say thank you for joining us in this edition of 30 Minutes with the Author. This is Lori Crever signing off, encouraging you to read a book. It could change your life, and let's encourage our children to do the same. Thank you.